What's going on, boys and girls? It's Jason here, and in today's video I wanted to expand upon yesterday's update video, basically talking about the state of the world right now, particularly in this country if you are in America, and what does this mean for you as an entrepreneur. Don't go anywhere. What to do? What's going on, boys and girls? It's your boy Jason here, and so in this video I wanted to talk to you about what's going on in this world. So more specifically, what's going on in this country. I posted an update video just yesterday, and I wanted to take this time to expand on it, to talk more about what's going on and what does this mean for you. Now, I don't know where you stand on politics, and I am not even going to touch that with a 10-foot pole, okay? All you need to know is that I am a proud American citizen, born and raised. I'm a Christian, you know that. And, I care about people. I have a natural care for people, so I'm not into bashing anyone that has a different opinion from me. If you have a different opinion from me, that is fine, dandy. I don't think you're some evil person or whatever. None of that stuff. None of that nonsense. I'm actually what people might consider mature. As mature as I can be, right? All right, so let's talk about this real quick. As of last year, 2020, we know how that year went. We know that year was full of just amazingly difficult stuff. And it changed the landscape for many people across the entire planet. Not even just America, but the entire planet. COVID caused a lot of people to lose their jobs and become dependent on, well, at least in America. I don't even know what is going on in the rest of the world, but in America, we've had 2 stimulus checks since then. Recent and then over the summer. So we've had that. And I launched my channel. I launched the Stay Home Celebrity channel a few months ago in the midst of all this. And my intention was to educate people to be more independent, to be more entrepreneurial, to know how to generate money for yourself, because what once was the norm, where people had typical jobs that they could count on day to day, turned into a scenario where they were either forced to work remotely, which, I mean, as long as they have the job, that's fine. But a lot of Americans were forced to lose their jobs and look for something else, because this affected, at least for many brick and mortar businesses, this affected their business entirely, forcing them to close down. A lot of them are still closed, and a lot of them went out of business, because if you have to close your doors for a set amount of time, you can't survive too long. Last year there was a lot of allowances for rent and things like that, but that can only go so far. You can't pause. You can't just bring the whole country to a close and just leave it like that month after month after month. I mean, for a brief period, sure, but after some time, I mean, people gotta eat. People, there's only so much people can do. So with that in mind, it forced a lot of businesses to close down indefinitely, and that obviously reflected with people who had jobs. They lost those jobs, had to scramble to find something, if anything. But a lot of people are still concerned, and whatever jobs they are able to get, it's not enough to make ends meet. People are struggling all over the place. So that's where I come in. That's where people like me come in, because I've been an entrepreneur since full-time since 2016, but I've been enlightened to the path of entrepreneurship in 2012. And I've always believed in the concept of generating multiple sources of income, not just one. And so unfortunately, many people, myself included, I was raised to believe that you have this one job and that's it. But what happens if you lose that job? You got to go scramble to find another job. No, you should have some additional sources of income. It's kind of like if you were to invest in the stock market. Hopefully you are, because while the stock market has definitely seen some peaks and valleys over the last 12 months or so, there's always going to be a time period where the economy rises up. So hopefully you get invested in that. But if you know anything about investing in the stock market, you know that you don't just take all your money and put it into one particular stock. Anyone will tell you what you have to do is you have to diversify your investments. You have to invest a percentage with this company, another percentage with that company, and so on and so forth. If you have one of those, accounts where everything's managed for you, then even if you review your portfolio, you know that your investment is spread out through different types of bonds, stocks, so on and so forth. So it's not just invested into one particular category. It's invested in multiple places. And the reason for that is because the different avenues will perform differently. In certain times, a particular stock will rise up while another one is falling down. Now, if you only were invested in one stock, you would just simply be losing money. But if you diversified your portfolio, in some areas you may be going down, but in some areas you may be going up, which means you either are still breaking even or you're actually earning. Even if one stock is going down, if the other stocks are going up, you're still earning money. You're earning. So that in mind, it's important to have diversity with your investments. Why isn't it that no one teaches people to diversify their income? I feel that everyone should be diversifying their income, because in scenarios like this, when you lose your job, well, now you got to scramble for something else. However, if you had a job and then maybe something else on the side, maybe a couple things on the side, well, now you have a cushion. Even if you lose your job and the other income sources aren't exactly matching your income level, it's still something to where you don't have to scramble, you don't have to rush, it's not an emergency situation for you. You could still stabilize yourself for a little bit, right? So that's what's important. I feel like everyone should be an entrepreneur and everyone should have multiple sources of income. And if you don't, it's about time to really consider that, because the hope of many people is that after 2020, we feel like 2020 was just a botched year, right? 2020 was just, all right, you know what? Someone hit the wrong button on New Year of 2020, and everything just screwed up. Now it's 2021. Let's hit the reset button. Let's start this thing over. Let's just take it on back and just put COVID out of our minds and all that. Let's try to get some normalcy. However, you see the situation with the latter part of last year regarding the election and the presidential election, and then how it's carried over till now. And there's, again, I don't care which side you're on. Do not start some political nonsense on my channel. All I'm saying is, no matter what side of the fence you are on, there you do realize that there is civil unrest. There is one side's mad at the other side. One candidate's mad at the other candidate, and they're actually both mad at each other. Everyone's mad at each other. Everybody's mad at each other. All right. And so I don't want to be anywhere near identified as a conspiracy theorist or, fearmonger or, someone with a tinfoil hat on his head. All I'm saying is, with this level of animosity between, citizens and all that, I wouldn't feel comfortable going back to a normal lifestyle and just being the type of person that has one source of income. I think having multiple sources of income is continually becoming more and more necessary, because when I launched this channel, I said from the very beginning, God forbid, it is not my wish and it is not my desire, but if something similar, if any form of pandemic or if any form of emergency or any form of crisis were to happen, what would we, if something like that were to happen again in the future, would you be prepared the second time around? First time around, I get it. You know, you got caught, like all this came out of nowhere. So like we all got caught, excuse the expression, caught with our pants down, right? So everyone was caught with their pants down because no one saw this coming. This wasn't even remotely realistic. Like how is that you're gonna close down the entire country? What? So I get it. Like we were all caught, you know, unaware. But if you get caught twice, I mean, that really is on you at that point, right? Because again, I just want to remove certain thoughts that are limiting you, because you think, okay, well, it happened once, we're fine. You know, once things get back to normal, this will never happen again. No, if it's happened before, and remember, stuff like this has happened throughout history. There was the bubonic plague. There was all these things, you know, smallpox and so on and so forth. You know, we've had the H1N1 virus scare. We've had, you know, swine flu and all that stuff. We anthrax, okay, anthrax. We've had a bunch of different things throughout history. All right, it's affected us in different ways, but we've had pandemics throughout history. This isn't just because you're alive during this one doesn't mean that, oh my gosh, the world has never seen anything like this before. Absolutely, the world has. For sure, it has. It's had before, and God forbid, but if we're to be realistic, we may see this many more times in the future, and maybe not while we're alive, but, you know, stuff like this may happen. I'm not speaking it. I'm just saying, you know, if you're realistic, there's a big chance. So I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer or anything like that, but you know, it's happened before, it's happening now, it could happen in the future. So with that in mind, I think it's wise of you to consider that maybe you should be prepared for, God forbid, if something were to happen like this in the future. If it's now because of the civil unrest, you know, this may, again, call it conspiracy, whatever. I'm not even saying that it's true. I'm not even saying that it will happen. But what if there's martial law? What if there's something, you know? What, I don't even know. But what if stuff like this were to happen? How would you protect your income sources? How would you be able, because you still, regardless of what happens, you still got to eat. You still got to pay your rent. Still got to pay your bills, right? All of that is still 100% necessary. There may be, like in the beginning of 2020, where they made certain allowances for you to be late, for some forgiveness and all that. That may happen, but how long do you expect that to last? How many times do you think we'll get another stimulus bill, right? So I think that it's wise for you to be prepared. And the way that you become prepared is that you retrain yourself to think differently. You retrain yourself to think that maybe I should consider that the power of creating an income really rests on me and no one else. I can't put this responsibility on a boss. I have to put this responsibility on myself. I have to go out there. Kind of like in the old days of the cavemen, right? The old days of the cavemen, you know, you got to go out there and be the hunter-gatherer, you know, for your family. Just hunt your food and bring it home to the cave. That's kind of where we're at. That's where we are. So, you know, you don't put your responsibility on a traditional 9-to-5. You put the responsibility on yourself. You have the power to make your own income and duplicate that. Now, I've said this many times before. You should focus on generating one source at a time. Okay, I'm a big advocate for having multiple sources, but you should have the intensity to generate consistently one source of income. And once that is flowing, once you have gotten into a rhythm, a groove, or whatever, once that is going and going and going, and it's not even a task for you anymore, you could just, if you could get it to be passive, great. But if it can't be passive, like if it is a 9-to-5 or something, get it to the point where you are at a rhythm, and if you were to focus on creating a second source of income, that it won't interfere with the first one. That first one can still keep going and going and going, and you're giving enough attention to it, but it's not limiting all of your resources to generate a second source. So you become familiar with the first source. You become familiar with it, and it's a habit now. So now that that's going, you could then build the foundation for a second source of income. Build that, make that consistent, And guess what? Once that is going and going and going, start a third one. A lot of people, the really successful ones, the ones that are, I guess it's kind of like the lucky number here, is roughly about 5 sources of income. A lot of them have 5 sources of income. Right now I'm at about 3 myself, and they're all still building. So I'm not like living in a mansion or driving a sports car yet. I'm not as fancy cash flowing as I'm trying to make myself out to be. But the point is that I understand the powers of having multiple sources of income, because if one were to take a hit, you got other stuff, right? You got other stuff growing and going for you. And you don't want to be in a scenario where you are caught with your pants down and you are... That was my Apple Watch. But you don't want to be in a scenario where you're going to be hurt. And especially if you're a provider for a family, you don't want to be in a scenario where your family is taking a hit. You don't want to affect them in a negative way. So, I'm not a seer. I can't tell you what's in the future. I have zero idea. My faith in God tells me that I just have to put my trust in God and know that He knows what He's doing, and that's all I really need to do. I'll be prepared, but at the end of the day, I know that this is not our forever home. So God is in control. I just have to let it go. That's my perspective. That's how I feel. However, while we are here, I'm doing everything I can to make sure that I can keep providing for my family, and I want to be able to encourage as many people as possible to do likewise, because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. We don't know how much more time we have left on this earth. We don't know how much time, until something else happens. God willingly, this will all blow over. God willingly, within a couple months at least, we can be able to have a sigh of relief and just start to enjoy life once again. But until that day happens, and maybe starting right now, but until that day happens, guys, be smart, consider your options, diversify your income streams, and have some consistency with all of them, because that's what's going to make you feel really secure. You won't feel any stress, at least not as much stress as you would if you just had one source and you're trembling, wondering, am I going to lose this one source of income? At the very least, if you had multiple, you could say, well, I don't want to lose this source of income, but at least I have these other few here. So, with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts. Let me know how you are diversifying your income streams, and let me know how you're doing with that. Any thoughts, any comments, drop them below. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed today's video. As always, if you did, please give us a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. And that'll help the YouTube algorithm to say, hey, this content is awesome. Let's rank it up higher. Also, if you did enjoy this video, please click the subscribe button and the bell notification to be updated on future videos as I post them. And last but not least, if you want to build your second source of income, right now, you need to get started with affiliate marketing. There is a link below that you can click on, and it'll give you everything that you need, the tools that you need, the training, the instructions that you need. And if you need me to help you at any level, just feel free to reach out, and I'll be more than happy to. All right, so I love you guys. I will talk to y'all soon. It's Jason. Much love, God bless, and as always, you know how I do it, y'all. Peace.
I should make money for free. Yeah, that's how money works. Money for free. If I ain't got a boss, then it's not a legal way to make money. You gotta know that's true, right? You gotta have a boss for you. Okay. The only way to make money is by spending a crazy amount of time. If I'm not like slave or nothing like that, okay. But, okay, here we go. Nobody makes money from home. This COVID thing is just a fluke. We're gonna be in office again, and if you seriously want to help me, you should just just give me money. You know, I mean, that's how you can show me